I'd have friends tell me all the time, like, oh, you should do a TikTok or you should do an Instagram because they thought I had interesting things to say. Which is one thing, like when you're in conversation with a friend and just kind of discussing your thoughts as they come to you. But the moment you point a camera at your face and start considering it, I mean, for me anyways, it made me feel like, what the hell do I have to say that someone else hasn't already said better? There's just something uncomfortable about asking for attention. I mean, I remember being in middle school, and if a teacher called you like an attention seeker, or someone called you that, that was an offensive thing. But now that just kind of feels like what we're all being encouraged to do. What actually happened is I reconnected with a friend of mine that I was close with in high school, but we kind of lost touch with one another. And he reached out to me, and this was probably 15 years since the last time we had spoken. And, we just kind of picked up where we left off. And eventually that conversation turned into how he was considering starting a podcast. And I was a little resistant at first. Just kind of, I don't even know what I told him. I just feel like there's so much garbage on the internet. Or it's just a place where everybody's scrambling to be seen. I don't know. It just feels weird to be encouraged to use yourself as a means of getting attention, as a form of entertainment. There's something about that just feels reductive. And I went down this rabbit hole with my buddy, and he kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about, dude? It's moments like that I have a lot, where I realize that I've thought too much about this and other people are not thinking that deep about it. My friend is actually, he's been a very successful person in his life. In pretty much every obvious way that I can tell. He's been an entrepreneur, and that worked out really well for him. And he's very pragmatic. And when he was considering YouTube and throwing the idea at me, it was as simple as like, look, this is a tool that you can use as an opportunity to earn income, and it's available and accessible. So why would you not make use of that? It's explanations like that make me feel like an incredible idiot. I can't help but turn every simple thing into some existential problem. And I'm not invalidating, what I felt and what I feel about this stuff. I still believe it's true. But I also believe both sides of it are true. That's what's really uncomfortable about it. So I agreed to the podcast, and then I became the person who was responsible for editing it. And I did some video editing in my past and enjoyed it. So as I'm editing these videos, I realize, I have a lot of fun doing that. Like, this is kind of enjoyable, and I haven't been doing music lately. So this felt like a suitable replacement. What music was for me was just a medium for me to get stuff out, express the things that I noticed in the world and the things that I felt, and to put it out there in song in hopes to connect with people who notice and feel the same things. I'm like, oh, I could do the same thing on YouTube. And if it's not obvious, it's super uncomfortable for me to be on camera. I never liked it before. I don't like it now. But I'm just, trying to get over myself. It's not like I'm afraid to be seen. It's just I'm suspicious about all of it. Just the social media, any platform that's encouraging me to get on it for any or no reason at all, to benefit mostly somebody else that isn't me. At least that's what it feels like. This stuff has always felt somewhat radioactive to me. I had a Facebook for a while, and I got rid of that a number of years ago. I had an Instagram when I was a musician because it felt necessary, but even though I had it, I didn't even engage with it. I didn't even use it, so it felt pointless. Never had a Twitter. Yeah. And never got on the TikTok train. I just don't trust it. It feels like psychological sugar, And hopefully someone would be suspicious of me if I sat around doing nothing but eating candy bars for hours on end. Nobody would agree that that is a healthy thing to do. But I've always had this issue with just overthinking things to the point that I kind of think myself out of an experience or just showing up to see for myself. I'll end up just kind of making a lot of assumptions and that will stall me. And so I don't want to do that. So I figured, you know what? I'm just gonna not think so hard about it. I'm just gonna do it. Just gonna make a YouTube channel. What's it gonna be? I don't even know. I'm gonna figure it out along the way. And that's basically what I've been doing. I had one person comment that like, I noticed that your trailer had changed a couple of times. And it'll probably change a couple more times too. Because all I know is the kinds of things that I like to think about and talk about. And so now I'm just figuring out, how do I format that in a digestible kind of a way? Because I don't want to be ignorant of the platform. I'm not trying to, log a video diary or anything like that. I do want it to be useful to somebody. I feel like I wanted to prove that I could stop analyzing everything from the outside and actually participate in it. But, if you've ever seen this Black Mirror episode, eventually this character you follow just needs to rebel against this absurdity. But even his rebellion just was viewed as just another form of entertainment. It was just absorbed back into this machine. All these platforms are places where anger can become engagement, where authenticity starts to feel like branding, and loneliness is a niche, or resistance feels like aesthetic. When I was 14 or so, I wrote my first song. And I was really excited about that. Because until that moment, I kind of felt like I didn't have a thing. I wasn't really good at much. But, I learned to play guitar by ear, and I just winged it and wrote a song. And I was so excited about it. I was like basically in a state of disbelief. And so I went out to the living room to show my dad. I was like, "Hey Dad, I wrote a song. Can I play it for you?" And he paused his show and I played my song. And when I was done, his reaction was like, "Okay." Kind of like Can I put my show back on? And it wasn't like I was necessarily offended, but I was disappointed because a moment ago I was so excited. I felt like I discovered this new thing, almost like a secret ability that I might have had. And I just wanted validation that the thing that I was excited about was worth being excited about. And it didn't happen. It wasn't like a trauma or anything, but it was a defining moment. It was the start of a pattern. And for most of my life, it keeps coming back up, where the things that I find fascinating, captivating, interesting, meaningful, it's really hard to find other people that feel the same way or see it the way that I do. And so I've spent so much of my life trying to find people who I can share my reality with, or we can share reality together. Because, that feels kind of like the point. I distinctly remember a moment of deciding to go watch the sunrise because I just hadn't in a number of years. I thought, I should probably look at that because it's a beautiful thing that happens every day that I have not noticed in like a decade. So I made a point and I went, and I accidentally stumbled into this like really beautiful spot that was like framed by trees, and there was a lake, and it was beautiful. And in that moment, I felt very moved, and it felt very powerful. But at the same time, it was just me looking at it. So it's like you go to look to the person next to you to be like, holy shit, do you see this? And they're not there. And so it's like this sense of awe that's immediately followed by the disappointment of being the lone viewer. And so I hope it comes across, And if it doesn't, whatever, but I'm not making these videos for the sake of attention. I'm trying to find resonance with other people. Although it's kind of a weird contradiction where in pursuit of that, you need to try to get attention. You need to compete with essentially what feels like infinite and endless content from every direction. And so even the people who would be interested in what I have to share, or who could relate to these ideas, it's highly unlikely that they'll even find it. But if anybody watches this, I get the feeling anyone can relate to the joy and excitement they get about that thing, and they try to express it energetically to someone else who's just kind of like, okay, you just don't get it. But it's really just the scale, the speed, the pressure, or the insistence that everybody participate, and the feeling that things that are deeply meaningful now have to survive inside of these systems that are designed for immediate reaction. And meaningful things usually require some level of patience. You gotta wait a second to let something unfold. But here I am, participating in it, unsure of where it's headed, what exactly I'm doing, still feeling suspicious about it all, still feeling uncomfortable about showing my face or pretending like anything that I have to say is important. I'm still not completely sure how to participate in this thing without being indirectly shaped by it. It's really hard not to get sucked into all the fun little metrics of like watching the numbers go up. Oh, this one got a lot of views. Cool. Should I do more like that? And then start running these calculations on how to backwards engineer the videos that people like the most. And then I have to kind of like snap out of it for a second and be like, that's not what we're doing here. Just make a video. Just say the thing that's on your mind and stop worrying about, if that's going to translate into views. It's tea, it's not piss. It kind of looks like piss. I swear it's tea. Or is it? Dude, when I was a kid, I would have killed to just have a video camera so that I could make dumb skits with my friends that only we would watch together as the people who made them. And now I got a camera on me 24/7, and I've not recorded one skit. It's over. It all feels like someone else already did it, and they did it better with a bigger budget and a nicer camera.